Welcome back. Welcome back to Living True by Design podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Libby Schanzmeyer, career mom. I'm a physician pathologist. I am also an enthusiastic soccer mom, which is funny because none of my kids actually play soccer, but it's really long to say I'm an enthusiastic baseball, tennis, band, whatever. Let's see, kickboxing, basketball mom. So soccer seems kind of neutral. Then I'm not picking a favorite thing. So I'm just going to call myself that. If you object, let me know. I love soccer, just my kids aren't in it. Anyway, welcome back to Living True by Design. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to finish the episode about our physical environment. So we're going to look at all these aspects of our life. We're going to look at 10 aspects. And the first aspect area of our life we're looking at is physical environment. I can tell you the other areas that we'll be going through in this series. We'll also be talking about our financial world, our financial life, spirituality, physical, mental, emotional health, career, relationships. And just to be clear, I have no delusion or aspiration that I'm going to tell you how to do things and be perfectly fulfilled in each of these areas. What the point of this is going through the areas and really looking at the parts of your life to consider in the areas. Because a lot of times people say, well, are you happy with your home? Well, yeah, this needs a repair, or I'm happy with the house, but it gets kind of dirty and cluttery, and that's kind of it. And this is just a way we're going through each of these areas and taking a look, because once we have clarity, then we can say, you know what? This weekend, I'm going to put in my calendar to spend 1 hour on my laundry room because it needs some attention. And the other thing, though, I want to add as a huge disclaimer before I proceed is that nothing I say I is intended to add any more burden to you, period. We have so many things to do and listen to and educate ourselves about and research and plan, that it can feel heavy. And I don't want what I talk about to feel like a heavy project. What I'm sharing is given with the intention to inspire and uplift and support. So if anything I'm talking about is like, man, I really need to do that. No, you're wonderful. If doing it would make your life a little bit better, yay, I'm glad. Please do it. If it makes, if even, you know what, turn this off. If you're like, no, I don't want to hear about that. House is a mess. My physical environment, I'm not happy with it. I don't want to hear this today. Great. I welcome that too. And again, I'm not going to suggest, oh, you just have to have it all perfectly clean all the time, because I'm not delusional and I have kids and I'm not, by nature, somebody that is like 100% clean all the time, because I get clutter and it's a constant thing. And I think that that's why it's so important to me, because I've realized over time how, for example, in our physical environment, how just having some clutter around really does drain our energy. And so back to the intention of this, the intention is to uplift and inspire and help elevate our energy. Sometimes, we have to take a step back, go through the pile of mail, or, fold the pile of laundry, or shove it in whatever appropriate drawer. Sometimes we have to take a step back to clean up where we are, start fresh where we are, right? And that's totally fine. That's totally good. But it has always frustrated me, because I'm like, I want to just do this and move forward, and everything's going to be great. But we can't always just move forward from where we are. So that's why we're taking a look at where we are in our lives in each of these environments. And I like breaking it down a lot, because I know in my life I've been like, well, things aren't just totally great, but you don't really know why. So this is very similar to the Wheel of Life. I don't know if you've done the Wheel of Life charts. You can color it in. This is what I have. You can download for free. It's a graph of life, basically. It has a list of all these 10 areas of life, and then you just fill in from 1 to 10 how happy and satisfied you are in that area. Probably satisfied is a better word than happy. I think happy can kind of go up and down, but if you lean toward defining happy as feeling satisfied in that area, then that's great. And so then you download that, you start coloring in each area. 1, if it's not very much, 10, if you're just thrilled with life in your physical environment, you would color in 1 through 10. And so then after you go through each of the 10 areas and color it in, you have this graphic representation of your life satisfaction. And so then it's almost, then what we're doing is going, it's almost like a algorithm, because we have those 10, and then from each of those there's what I think six or 8 areas that we look at in each of those. So there's 10 main ones and then offshoots of each 10. And that's what we're about to be talking about today. The areas of satisfaction within your physical environment. So let's get into it. Last time we talked about how our physical environment really can affect our lives, affect our satisfaction, affect our energy level so much. I can tell you, like when my laundry gets piled up, which it often does with 3 kids and me working and me coaching and doing different things, when these get piled up, it is just an energetic drain, because you walk by it and you're like, oh, I need to do that, but not right now because I have other stuff to do. But it's just like kind of a weight. And so the idea is, if you can at least have a plan for when you're going to do it, you don't have to think about it anymore and have that weight. Or if you can do it, that's great too. But it depends on your energy, right? And so we also have to, the way I think of it is like getting tumbled around in surf. Sometimes when you're tumbling around in the surf, you can't get on top of it. And the best we can do is just be like, okay, I'm in the surf right now. I can't, if we're talking about our physical environment, like talking about the house is a mess. I can't get on top of it today. Just breathe, right? Like when you're in a surf, like if you fall down in a wave, you're like, oh, I just got to stand up and breathe. So sometimes that happens, and that's okay. And the goal for that day is to stand up and catch your breath. Other times when you can stand up, it's time to surf. And that's when we can when our house is clean and we kind of have a system going with the laundry, we're surfing along. And that takes so much less energy, right? Because you're on top of the wave. But if you're getting beaten up by the wave, you're using all your might and all your energy just to stand up. And I think we don't talk about that enough, that there's this transitional part between getting knocked down over and over, metaphorically, by life, of like, we have so much to do, and our culture is unrelenting of, mom things, work things, home things, that we can't get up and stand up and get on the wave. And I think, having kids, it's gotten harder to be on the wave, because I used to be like, yeah, I'm good, I got this energy. But then, your kids require your energy and your time and your effort. And that's what we want, right? That's what I want, to put that into them. But then when other things don't back down, you already had a full life, and then you add kids to it, and this stuff is still here, the home and all the things, career, they're all still there demanding your energy. I think that's when we can get into that overwhelmed feeling. Anyway, let's get back to our physical environment. And the other thing is, last time we talked about willpower, and that is a huge takeaway that I would love for you to have, is that environment is stronger than willpower. And I would love to hear what you think about that. Leave me a comment, come to Instagram, go to Dr. Libby Schanzmeyer, and let me know if you agree, disagree, have thoughts about that, because that is an idea that I've found and has been really helpful when I think about things like areas like, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing the best job. I'm going back to the laundry, keeping my laundry folded. Well, I don't really have a good system. The kids need their clothes washed at different times, and I haven't gotten on top of that wave to surf it. And I know I can get on top of the wave once I have a system in place, once my laundry room is put together, once I have expectations set with other people in the house, the kids, the whole family. I know once that's in place, I'll have more energy than walking my dirty laundry room and going, "Oh man, that's hard. I can't deal with that right now. It's too much." And then it's also the timing thing of like, feels like it's going to be about 4 hours long. And so I found it super helpful just to set the timer for 15 minutes and say, you just got to do 15 minutes. A lot of times I'll do that and keep going because it's not so bad. But I think when we're overwhelmed, adding anything else feels like too much. So, and it really is. It's too much. If you feel like it is, guess what? You're right. And I honor that. If it feels like it's too much, guess what? You're right. And I honor that. Period. There we go. Then one other aspect, and before I get into all the different areas within our physical environment. And I'm not going to talk about the different rooms. I'm going to talk about things within us, which I'm so excited because I've always thought, okay, we're going to talk about our environment. So we'll talk about the house and we'll talk about the kitchen and the living room. And then we'll talk about the back deck or whatever. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about our internal relationship with our external world. And so we're going to dive into that in just a second. But I just wanted to add one other idea about how we are in our physical environment. Is it fun? And I think a lot of times it can end up being a chore, because it's like the physics things go toward entropy of just chaos. And it's so hard to keep things in order, especially with kids, because they come along and, move things around despite our best efforts. So, but there's a really big idea about the fun of things. And I think culturally, we are lacking a lot of fun and space for fun and even thinking about fun, because it has to be just like, let's get down to business, let's get it taken care of and move on. And I have to check this off my list. But moving through things that way, again, is energetically draining. And we will be talking about our nervous system after this series. But it's almost like living in an area of dysregulation, like if we feel bad about something or the environment isn't the way we want it and we feel guilty or we're shaming ourselves or blaming other people. Those are, draining, and it just feels heavy. And if we can reframe it, I'm not saying white knuckle it and say, this is fun, I love this is fun, when you want to fold clothes and you really don't want to fold clothes. But I'm saying reframe it so either it's fun, like the whole gamifying thing, you can do that, which is fun, or tie it back to your values, which is, it becomes fun for me, if I am working toward my values. Like if one of my values is clarity, which it is. So clarity, and I apply that to my physical environment. I want a clean environment that's not cluttered and is peaceful and cozy and warm and inviting. If that's one of my values, instead of when I'm folding clothes, thinking about the 100 other things I have to do, or thinking I'm frustrated because, I have to manage the kids to help me do it, or thinking about the dryer that needs some repair. All those things are true. And I'm not saying dismiss it entirely, but hold on to the idea that this is supporting an important area of your life. I think if we didn't care about it, we would just be like, oh, whatever, let the whole house go, or yard go, or whatever. So we do care about it. But instead of it being a really heavy chore, if there's some fun to it and alignment with our values, and in the moment, even an appreciation of this isn't that fun, but I'm working toward, something that's important to me. Then it becomes a lot of fun. Or even like it's something I think about at the gym a lot, but it's also can apply to like cleaning our environment of look how blessed and lucky I am that I get to do this today. And I know I have a lot of other things to do, but I get to contribute to my family in a way that's very meaningful to me. If that's not true, of course, I'm not suggesting to like try to make something true that's not for you, but I'm suggesting find a reason that is important to you, that is in line with your own values. And in this topic of within your physical environment, ways that you're fulfilling your values to bring that environment into fruition. And there's another, that thing on the internet of what's your Roman Empire. One of my I have a lot of Roman empires, but one of my, and if you don't understand, it's the thing that went around and all the couples, the wife would ask the husband, do you think about the Roman Empire very much? Because most women typically don't. That's the meme, I guess. And so the guys were like, yeah, I think about it all the time. And so when I say Roman Empire, it's just something you think about all the time. I forgot what my Roman Empire is now. It was having fun. I should write it down. Well, I have another thing to say. I don't know if this makes sense, but hopefully it does. So I can talk about this as my Roman Empire because it is one, two. And I want to be careful how I say this because, again, it is said with the intention of supporting you and not in any way saying encouraging overworking, because I think that's a problem with a lot of us. So that's a qualifier. But this thing I think about what's the goal? Is the goal to be, comfortable all the time, or long term be comfortable, figure out what I want to do long term, and then look at the shorter term goals and expand into those shorter term goals and enjoy them. And by that, that's the thing about easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. And the hard choices would be like going to the gym or folding the laundry, or I don't know. I keep going back to folding the laundry because, maybe that's what I need to focus on in my physical environment. Okay, it is. I'll just say that. Who am I kidding? It absolutely is. Um, I can't even pretend that I have that whole system done. But like going through this with you is so fun because now I'm like, you know what? This is actually a really good point because I think of it in different areas, like we were saying. And so making it real granular in each area of our life, it's fun. It's like, oh yeah, why don't I just make a system here, and then okay, while I'm on the topic of laundry, not to digress too far, but I saw some post, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who put it, about laundry being a process. And I feel like there's so much destination orientation in what we do and our vision and goals and all the things. And it almost frustrates me to have to go back over and over and over to the idea that it's a process. It's the journey, if you will. And so, like, I like getting my house together all in one day, and it's this perfect home. Not perfect, but for me, it's put together as I can get it. And that's not the reality of life. The reality is a home is like a living organism. Our physical environment lives and moves, and our home goes through the seasons just like us. We decorate it for different seasons with different holidays, and it's heated and cooled at different times of the year. So the point is that our physical environment is a lot of times a process instead of a destination. And I think like having that in mind can be super helpful because it's just like a process. And so where do you want that process to live instead of thinking, and I know, and okay, going back to energy again, it's very heavy when I get the laundry folded and finally put away and yay, but it's not. It's like the mail comes every day. And that gets heavy and frustrating if I'm like, but I just did it. Instead of saying it's a process, it's the mail, it's going to come every day. And we're just going through it. And this is where we are in the process today. So it's more of like a circle instead of a line with a start and an end. Anyway. So there's your little laundry tip of viewing it as a process versus a destination. So that's the whole laundry tip of the day, viewing it as a process, not a destination. Just like any area of our physical environment can be a process, like our home can be a process of, rest. Just think every day is a process. It's not the birds just flew over. Just think every day is a process. We wake up, we get it. It's a cycle, and I think culturally and educationally we think it's linear, and it's not. Even like calendars, it's like a book. Like we read it left to right or up to down. And reality is it's all a process, and it's all about taking steps in the right direction and accepting on some level that we're not going to get to the destination and enjoying it as we go. And it can be as little as getting the laundry done or as big as, huge life choices. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different areas within our physical environment, though. And since this is the first one in this series we're doing this in, I wanted to tell you how I came to this. And these areas within the physical environment, I will tell you what the areas are. So we're going to take a look, and this is in the worksheet. If you want to download it, you're welcome to. There are 2, 4, 6, there's 8 areas. So we have 10 main areas of our life. And within each of those 10 areas are 8 more areas. And that sounds like a lot, but this is kind of a snapshot. So it's a total overview. Pretend you're an airplane flying over your life. You're not like dissecting everything, because we'll get to that later. But this is just, how does it feel to you today? And I'll tell you what the 8 areas are. So think about your physical environment, and then we're going to talk about, do you feel significant in your physical environment? Is there growth and rest in your physical environment? Certainty, these are all these things if they're met or not met. Certainty, autonomy, connection, celebration, creativity, and honesty. And you might be like, how does that relate to my physical environment? But I think I know. This is what I know. When our needs are met, then life can be pretty wonderful. And I'm including in our needs, one of them is an area of contribution. That's actually what I use that as a major life area, because that's really what it comes down to, is what makes a meaningful life. And it's contributing to others out of love, and it's not out of a place of scarcity or overwhelm, but it's truly giving to others out of a full heart, a full person, our full being. And in order to do that, we have to be full. And I know we don't have to always be full, but at least some of the time be full, in other words, be regulated, calm, connected, curious, and sharing with others creates this amazing life. So we're talking about our physical environment. And so does your physical environment, do you feel significant in your physical environment? And in this little free worksheet, there's 8, you number it 1 through 8. 1 is if you don't feel it very much, and number 8 is if you're like, yeah, I do. So number 1, do you feel significant in your home? Is your home feel significant to you? There's not you can use your own definition. The idea is significance is important within your physical environment. Like if you feel invisible, that's not going to be fulfilling. You're not going to feel like you're expressing yourself in your home, in your life, in your yard, whichever environment, car, whatever environment it is. So do you feel significant? Do you feel like your opinion is seen and recognized, and your presence there matters? So that's huge. Another one would be growth and rest. And I think in our physical environment, that's a big one. Is there a place to grow? Is there a place to rest? And to me, this rest aspect is one of the biggest ones because it's not given enough respect, enough credibility for how important it is. And it's important for multiple reasons, but the two biggest reasons that rest is so important is, one, we need it for our bodies, for our physical well-being, but also for our nervous system. We have to be able to calm down. And so that leads into like the stress management, or, the physical health. If we can rest, if our physical environment supports rest, is your bed physically comfortable? Is your sofa or where you sit physically comfortable? Is it a place you can rest and really renew yourself? Is it wrap you in a warm hug when you sit down? Your physical environment. It's possible. I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but this is just something to think about. Like if your home doesn't feel comfortable to you, well, let's do a few things. We can make it comfortable. That's something we can work on. So if it's for growth and rest, and also an area for growth, meaning, is there room to play? Is there room to start a project? Is there room to work on your project, to work on something that's important to you? Is there room to grow relationships? Is there room for your kids to grow? Is there room for growth in your home? And I know, sometimes when we get a lot of stuff, it feels kind of confining. And so we need to make sure there's room for growth and rest. Certainty. Do you feel pretty certain and safe in your home? Yeah, I think a lot of us do, but sometimes we don't. Maybe that needs a repair. Maybe we don't feel safe for some reason. Um, Maybe you want a security system and you don't have it. There's a lot of things about certainty. Maybe you want to add on to a room and you're like, well, how am I going to do that? Different areas of certainty. And you can explore this. This is open to a lot of interpretation intentionally so that it can serve you, support you. Okay. And then the idea isn't exactly to get a certain score or anything. Nobody's going to look at it. Nobody's going to score you. Nobody's going to say you got a 6 in this area of growth and rest and everybody else got an 8. So you're doing it wrong. That is not it at all. The idea is to look at these for you, personally, you. And if you got a 7 in your area of growth and rest, but that area is most important to you, then you can focus on that. And then next month, come back and look at it again. This is to make things that are usually invisible, visible. Things that are, I don't know if we'll look at that thing. There's a thing with different quadrants. And people use it, I don't know, for project planning or something, but it's like, or goal planning, I think. Things are daily planning. Anyway, it looks at things that are important and urgent, things that are not important and not urgent, things that are not urgent but really important, and one other one. Anyway, this is the area of things that are very important, but sometimes not urgent, and things that can get lost. And each of the 10 areas of your life have these things in them. And I submit to you, if we are aware of these areas and we love these areas and we have compassion for ourselves in all of these areas, that area of important but not urgent can grow and flourish and really contribute to the quality of our lives, our short lives that we have on this planet, and anyway, that's the intention and idea of it. And so certainty within your physical environment. Are you certain that things are working in your home. Okay. And then there's an area of autonomy is next. Do you feel like you can make choices around your home? Do you feel free to bring things in that are important to you or change them, move around a room if you need to? And it doesn't mean autonomy to the exclusion of the others in the home. It means your voice is heard and considered and matters in your home. And you have a sense of um, ownership. And especially I'm presuming if you're listening to this, you're the adult in the home, one of the adults in the home. So there is a significant level of autonomy that is important, that needs to be met within your physical environment. Then connection is another one. Do you feel connected to your physical environment? And, recently they've done things with, looking at people's physiology when they're like walking in nature. And so that's one aspect. Do you feel connected to the earth? Are you able to go hiking or swimming in the lake or connecting with greater nature as a whole? Do you feel connection with your home? Do you feel like it represents you? Do you feel connected with the people in your home? Another area that we'll be talking about is relationships. So that we'll go a lot deeper on connection in that one. But this is, are you connected to your physical environment? Then celebration. Can you celebrate in your home? Do you celebrate in your home? I want to also point out that celebration and mourning are two sides of one coin. And I've heard people say this word mournabration, of like when things are sad, there's usually something really deep and meaningful because it touches our heart, of if we lose someone we love, we're mourning, but there's also a celebration of that love that we had and that person that was there. Does your physical environment support celebration? Can you, have holidays? Do you do birthdays? Things in life that are important to you and your family. And with that, is it support you when you're mourning? Do you feel safe crying in your home? I hope so. But that's the thing. And it's important to at least acknowledge that and have a place to celebrate and mourn in our life. Then another area is creativity. Is there a place for creativity in your physical environment? Is your need for creativity met in your physical environment? Do you have a place if you want to paint? Do you have a place for that? Do you have for meditation? I've taken multiple meditation courses and meditation teacher certification and these things. And so I have a regular meditation practice that ebbs and flows. But one of the first things that we did in the course is set up a place for meditation. And we did that before we learned all the things. And that is having your physical environment support you. And so is there an area for creativity? Is there an area you can play and be creative? And then finally, is your physical environment honest? Does it really reflect you? Do you know who you is? If not, stay around and we'll talk about our values and our mission and different things and how we can define ourselves. But is it honest? Is it feel settled to you? It honest, let's see. I'm going to think of an example of it being honest. I think maybe the idea is that finally is it the last of the 8 areas is it honest? Does it feel like a true expression of you? Where you are, does it feel like that's who you are? And I've really struggled with this. Like, this is an example. I have this little, do you know Yardro? It's a little figurines. And my grandmother gave me this Yardro years and years ago, and she has since passed. And she gave me this little Yardro statuette thing, and it's a little girl. And she's like, "Oh, this is you." And it was really meaningful to her. And she gave me this statue. And I've held on to it since. And I still have it, But I'm thinking, is this honest, and it's honest in my love for her. So I could say, yes, it's very honest because I love my grandmother and this is the thing that keeps me attached to her. This is the thing that represents her to me that I see in my environment. So that's one way to look at it. Or is this honest, like an expression of my style and my design and my values in my home? And in that way, you could say, oh, it's not totally an honest expression as far as like, I love this figurine because I think aesthetically it's so pleasing, And so it's just something to look at. So I might say, well, that's not a completely honest expression of myself. And again, this is not meant to be like shame or blame. We need to remove that entirely, please, from this conversation because this is not what that's about. It's about expressing you in your life so that we can see you and know you and accept you for who you are, support you for who you are, love you for who you are. And we want to see that. I would love to go to people's homes and see honestly who they are in their physical environment. When you go to somebody's house and you kind of like are taking everything in, our nervous system picks up things all the time that we can't, like, there's no way I could list off to you what I'm seeing in this room right now, without it taking forever. But my nervous system just like takes it in, my vision and sounds and smells. Like I can take all this stuff in my environment just by looking around, And so when you go to other people's house, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that they were into books like that. Like I have a whole bookshelf there. So if you walked into my room here, that's an honest expression of who I am because it's all these like things that I love. They have like, on my bookshelf is stuff about yoga and a lot of stuff about nonviolent communication and kind of some psychology stuff and spiritual stuff and home stuff, like kin keeping stuff, because I'm really into this whole idea of kin keeping and emotional labor. And then there's some polyvagal things. There's stuff about the nervous system. There's medical books, and it's interesting because it's all this outer things that are basically like a lot of who I am. And I mean, that's a silly expression, just talking about books, but is your environment honestly express who you are and not in a heavy way, like you have to be honest, but in a joyful way, like, please be honest because I want to know you. I want to see you. I want to be friends and like know things about you, appreciate things about you. So that is the overview of the 8 areas in your life that can support or sometimes hinder our physical environment. And next time we are going to be talking about finances. And I am not claiming remotely to be any kind of financial wizard, but we're going to be talking about our inner world, how we relate to finances in very much these same areas, but just a different take on finances a different take on finances than what you might typically hear when you hear we're going to talk about finances today. So I can't wait to see you then. Come join me in my Facebook group, Living True by Design. Come message me in Instagram. If anything came up that you have any questions about or any comments about, I would love to hear from you. I would love to have a conversation about these things. I think that it's so important and it's so fun to talk about and discuss with you. So thank you for being here today. I appreciate you. I'm here to support you, to inspire you. And until next time, go out, show up, focus, and shine. Thank you so much for being here today. It's so good to be here with you. Until next time, I will see you out there. Show up. Until next time, I will see you out there. And don't forget to show up, focus, and shine. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the countless decisions life is throwing your way? Are you tired of the busy home with kids, laundry to do, meals to prepare, and a busy, high-achieving career? Do you want a deeper connection with your partner? If so, the 1 hour Living True by Design coaching session is just for you. It is your guiding light. During this 1 hour coaching call, you'll get a personalized, actionable plan. There will be concrete steps for you to take to step back into your power, to be authentic and own your most authentic life and be true to you. Together, let's embark on a journey to design the life you've always envisioned.